I just saw the Fabelmans, finally, and it was frustrating as hell. Now, I've actually kind of been evading this film. I knew that I'd have to watch it eventually because it was definitely going to get nominated. Spielberg normally isn't my thing. I liked a lot of his older movies. I'm not really into the movies he's made recently, but I knew that I'd have to be watching this eventually because it's going to be at the awards for sure. So, finally got to watch it. So I have a lot of issues with this film. My biggest issue with the plot is that it's entirely episodic. It's always just a series of conflicts that get solved in like a scene or two. And this is annoying because it gets in the way of these conflicts reaching their emotional potential. Like it always just gets right up to there, but it's always just kind of blue balling you and never giving you what you want out of it emotionally. Like I never got to any point where I felt anything. It always came close and then just right back down and the problem was solved and moving on to the next thing. There were so many elements that could have just been cut entirely from the film in order to focus on the other ones, but instead they were kept in. And once again, since they were solved so easily, it felt like they weren't that important. At this point, I don't really know if this is an aesthetic choice for Spielberg or not, but I really hated how overblown the lighting was. There's so many scenes where the light from the outside is just overblown in the interior scenes. Maybe it's just me, but I find it super annoying when there's an emotional scene and like the characters are arguing and you're invested in the argument, and then they just like turn the camera towards the windows and the light is flooding the room. It's like blinding your eyes, and it looks like the sun is about to crash onto the earth like the moon from Majora's Mask. I just want to jump in there and tell the whole family, like, stop arguing and get in the fridge like Indiana Jones. Another technical element I really hated. This is nitpicky as hell, but still, I hated it. When Sammy, the main character, projects his films in auditoriums or whenever a film is projected, you hear the music in like an isolated track and it's coming off so clear. Like there was no effects done to the sound of the music for it to sound like it's playing in a theater or like in an auditorium. It just sounds like it just comes off perfectly clear. So many other movies can do this. Why can't you do this? It just doesn't sell the effect. There's this one scene where they're projecting a movie like this and you can't hear the people in the auditorium for a good bit. You're just hearing the music and the music's coming off so clearly. It just feels so weird. Like you're not even hearing the people in the audience. And then eventually you hear them and it just feels so weird to hear them come on. Hated that. There's a lot of parts where they shot exterior night and God, does it look so artificial. There's this scene where they're supposed to be camping and it's just such a studio lot. Like everything just feels so goddamn fake. He's filming these scenes on like these super old cameras of the time, yet you watch it and it looks like they shot on an Ari Alexa. Like, shut up, Alexa. Another thing that bothered me was how weird the child actor looked at the beginning of the film. I don't know if it's like a combination of the makeup and the lighting, but he looks weird and synthetic. Like his skin looked like it was made out of plastic. Like if you look at that kid, like you could swear if Spielberg was making a Pinocchio remake instead.
Father, when can I leave to be on my own? I've got the whole world to see.
There's a lot of performances in this film that feel a little weird. I really like Paul Dano normally, but in this film, it kind of feels like every time he speaks, it just feels like he's about to murder his family. The mom also has a lot of weird like moments where I just did not really enjoy her performance. A lot of weird reads, a lot of weird faces and stuff like that. Did not hit the mark for me. I'm gonna go into spoilers now for a little bit, so just, so skip to this part for my overall conclusion or leave if you got mad. Sorry. 3, 2, 1, here I go. So I've seen a lot of people almost like completely switch up their impression of the film when they see David Lynch pop in at the last like 5 minutes of the film, which is ridiculous because honestly, that cameo was quite literally a joke. If it's a cameo for the sake of cameo, sure, but it's just, call me a cynical bastard. Sorry, but honestly, I just could not bring myself to care or understand why David Lynch was the guy for this role. Maybe because he looks like John Ford. Granted, he does. Aside from that, like, there's no other reason to have him there. Like, is David Lynch supposed to be the John Ford of today? And also, there's like the fact that there's no setup to this either. We go on watching this main character's life, and first of all, we don't even see him watch movies that much. Like, you just see little tidbits of it. So we have no idea what kind of directors he likes. We have no idea if he idolizes any director or anything in particular. We just randomly finally get to this moment at the end where this studio exec is just so nice. He's just gonna be like, oh yeah, do you want to meet the greatest director of all time or whatever? And then he's just like, sure. And then she's like, oh my god, I'm in John Ford's like waiting room. It's for the audience. It's a fucking wink to the audience. Like I don't care. I know that's John Ford. I know that has weight in you know, the realm of cinema. I get that, but I don't see how this means anything to the character. For all I know, he could just be realizing who John Ford is. It's funny for sure. It's a funny scene. If you met John Ford and that's what he said to you, I'm afraid he was kind of being a dick to you. And then that is like, it's quite literally a joke to end on that, because literally 2 seconds later the film ends.
Get real.
In my opinion, if you really wanted to do a cameo like that and to put in a director that would put it in perspective for a modern audience, what it would mean to meet John Ford at the time, honestly, you should have put Spielberg himself. Spielberg himself should have been in that scene. You should have put his 2 Oscars on the desk. You should have had him splooging all over the desk, thinking of getting a 3rd Oscar. Overall, while this film had some scenes that were kind of redeeming and some like emotional moments, they never really went the range that they could have gone, and it was never enough to distract me from all the other problems I saw in the film. And so for that reason, that's kind of why I'm labeling this film as frustrating, because it clearly seemed like there was something there, and that's what's kind of frustrating to me. It's like there is this little brief scene where he kind of handles the frustration of just like being a young filmmaker and seeing the indifference of the industry. I thought was like, wow, this is great. I wish the whole movie was about this. But God, it's over in 2 seconds. They move on from it in 2 seconds. That conflict gets resolved in 2 seconds. It's so ironic because it's supposed to be autobiographical and it's supposed to be coming from the heart, but there's this disconnect between the director and like the product that came out. It's the fact that it feels like product. It feels like Oscar baity. I don't know. It's just, don't like it. Frustrating. But listen, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. He just won Best Director at the Golden Globes. 2.5 out of 5. I hate movies. I think I hate movies. I think that's what my problem is. I hate movies. Anyways, wasn't even gonna do this review, so have a good night. Love you all. I'll be making a top 10 of 2022 soon. Go watch my short film. It's called Snowfall. Go watch my other videos. I work really hard on them too. Peace.
You gotta help me out. You always know what to do.
Man, I don't even know what I saw. It felt like a dream. A dream I wish I never had.
I make 4 right turns, right? Someone's still following me.
So this person you keep seeing and this dread you keep feeling is killed.
She's closer. You're whispering in my head like 1,000 voices. She's so damn close now.